Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. You already know the drill. Also, thank you for the 300 subscribers. Let's make it to 500 now. Make sure to like and subscribe and let's get to it. I said a couple of chapters back that Uber's getting hijacked by Barou will be a double-edged sword. I mean, the team had predefined tactics to use according to the state of the field, but they had to throw it out the window because now it's all about Barou and finding a tactic that suits Barou's movements, which are unpredictable. Since Barou doesn't fit into the predefined logic anymore, Ubers was bound to make mistakes, and against a team like Bastard München, you don't want to do that. As the review goes, we will highlight how things got worse for Ubers. I see so many people on high copium that Uber's defense got nerfed, and maybe Lorenzo as well. Like, what you talking about? Stop that bullshit. It's idiotic. Uber's wasn't nerfed. We all know that Lorenzo is a beast. The feats speak for themselves. The guy managed to pocket Kaiser the whole game. However, when it comes to defending in a more traditional sense, if you pay attention, Uber's designs always had Lorenzo as the last line of defense. That means Aiku and Aryu had to focus on the noise, allowing Lorenzo to zero in on the main threat. Also, Nico was always on defensive duties while Lorenzo was up front leading the attack, and the only exception of that is when Snuffy was on the field, as Snuffy was playing the role of the watchdog, filling up any holes everywhere on the field. Snuffy was Uber's ultimate safety measure as they went all up front to secure a goal. Now that Snuffy isn't on the pitch anymore, you would expect Uber to go back to the original pattern, right? But nope, everyone got Barouified. Yes, I made up that verb. That means everyone got entranced by Barou hijacking the team. The king taking over the team changed the whole dynamic, and it's definitely a disservice to Ubers as they only have one goal threat, Barou. So no matter what Uber does, ultimately you just gotta stop Barou, right? Now, take a look at this panel. Way after Snuffy wasn't on the field anymore, you have Lorenzo and Nico up there leading the attack. Like, who is supposed to be defending in that case? Who is supposed to be the last line of defense? With Nico and Lorenzo that up the field, the Uber's defense is spread thin. Look at what happened next. As Hiori, Yukimiya and Isagi go up the field, Lorenzo is forced to sprint ahead to catch up with the main threat, whereas he should have been man-marking the main threat already. Also, Nico being so up the field means that if he's getting cooked, the coast is clear. By the way, I was the first and probably the only one to predict that Yukimiya, Hiori and Isagi will be the trio leading the attack when Hiori was subbed in. All Lorenzo can do is sprint and try to catch up to Isagi, and we all know in football you don't have much options as a defender when you come from behind or from the side to catch up with the striker. This whole situation would have been different if Lorenzo was part of the defense and facing Isagi, or if Lorenzo was already man-marking Isagi, or if Nico stayed behind like the original design planned it. To further prove my point, as Isagi made the shot here with Kaiser, who was the last line of defense? Barou. Whereas it seems that in such cases, Sendu has to be the one charging in while Barou stays up front, ready for the counter attack. But again, you see that the pattern was broken. Ubers then goes back to one of their original patterns with Nico as the defensive midfielder, Lorenzo on defense marking Kaiser, Aiku on Isagi, and Aryu ready to swat flies. In this case, we see Sendu as expected, helping the defense when needed. So I hope you see how Ubers was pretty much freestyling, responding to whatever Barou was doing, and you still think they will remain as effective as before. There is no chance. They were bound to make mistakes. They were not nerfed. This is just a direct consequence of Barou hijacking the team. In the end, you could argue Barou taking over the team led him to scoring only one goal, while following Snuffy's design allowed him to score 1 in this game and 3 goals in the previous game. I guess only time will tell if this strategy of Barou hijacking the team is a good one, but on paper, the numbers say that following Snuffy design isn't that bad of an idea. I said in a recent chapter review that Isagi and Hiori will succeed where Rin ultimately failed because Isagi for once could immerse himself in a challenge as a striker, while someone else had to do the playmaking. Turns out doing that fits perfectly with Hiori as he aims to be a director. Rin on the other hand was still tied to his feud with Sae, but I digress. Isagi talked about the way of inputting information and said there are so many ways to do it after reflecting on the Predator Eye. He told Nico that he was drunk on his vision and played with his line of sight. The Predator Eye is about subverting expectations, and one thing that Isagi and Hiori did is put the whole field under a spell. Mind you, in contrast to the beginning of the game where the focus was on what you see and how to interpret it, knowing that Kaiser, Aiko, Lorenzo, Nico, Barou were always watching, reading, waiting to react, Hiori and Isagi stopped seeing. They stopped looking at each other. This is by far the best way to conclude a game where the emphasis was on who sees more or better. The whole defense and Kaiser needed to consistently watch in order to infer their best course of action, while Hiori and Isagi threw that thing out of the window. That's for kids. Big dogs communicate spiritually, sharing the same vision of the field and picking up where the blind spot is, which is where people wouldn't expect you to be as they rely so much on what they see. Every great player uses his eyes, the opponent eyes, body languages, etc., the state of the field to predict what could happen next. For defenders, it usually is the case that they will focus on who has the ball and who are the potential target for a pass. Some strikers use eye contact to synchronize themselves with the one passing the ball. Others just follow their inner instincts and expect the passer to align with them. There will always be a blind spot on the field, always. If you get lost trying to see who is looking at what, you obviously discard a lot of information. Conversely, if you don't pay attention to where players are looking, you also discard some potential critical information. There is just no way around it. There will always be a blind spot on the field, and that is why coaches come up with strategies and patterns to counter that. Hiori is evolving into a triple threat, to be honest, as defenses from now on will always wonder whether Hiori will go for a shot, whether he is looking at somebody to pass the ball through, or whether Hiori is not looking at anything and maybe he will take a shot or he will do again a no-look pass. That's 3 options, even more than that. Isagi on his own already has more than 2 options thanks to the lefty shot. Can you imagine how difficult that's going to be for defenses from now on? Good luck to the defenders, man. It's going to be mad. We all expected Isagi to tap into the Predator Eye, as he definitely has all the prerequisites to do so. The guy simply went above and beyond. Isagi has never had trouble scoring when free for a shot. It's actually ludicrous, but Isagi has yet to miss a clear goal scoring chance. I'll argue he has one of the highest conversion rate. I haven't checked again. I haven't done a reread, but please correct me on this, right? Okay, so in this final play of the game, Isagi used all his weapons to their maximum capacity. Now aware that Kaiser will indeed interfere, Isagi immediately came up with a plan against that. No offense to Aryu, but the guy is the weakling when the fight is on the ground. Isagi also made use of that. He deliberately baited Kaiser so that Aiko will have no other choice than committing to Kaiser, leaving Aryu and him in a 1v1. The whole defense was expecting a pass to Isagi, and funny enough, this is what really happened, albeit not like they expected. Like I said before, Ubers has stopped strictly following their patterns, and as we can see here, Nico is playing the role of the last line of defense down the midfield, which means that Lorenzo should be back in the defense according to the original pattern, but this isn't the case. Lorenzo is chasing back and wasn't even man-marking someone. Kaiser and Isagi were free, so Lorenzo had to settle for blocking the pass or the shot that Hiori could have made. There is no point in going to defend on Isagi when the guy was already marked by Barou and Rico. Given that Hiori is the one having the ball, it makes sense that the safest and most rational move is to get the ball away from him. As for Barou, the guy knows he cannot even begin to anticipate what Isagi can come up with. So it makes sense that to stop the ball, you have to take it from Hiori. You have to stop the ball from getting to Isagi. To be honest, Nico himself recognizes that he cannot stop Hiori 1v1. Metavision or not, skills are the ultimate judge. And in this case, Hiori and Isagi already had the whole field under their spell. Then you add the skills on top of that. Hiori is so skillful here with the ball control and the swiftness. Everyone played right into Bastard München hands, which means everyone was always at least 2 steps short. Nico was forced to react to prevent the pass, exposing himself as he had then made his first move, which means Hiori can use his superb ball control and technique to get rid of him. Faking the shot, Hiori forces whoever is around to do something, and in that case that was Lorenzo. We have seen Rin do it, we have seen Isagi do it, we also saw Noah doing it, all the great players do it. In such 50-50 scenarios, even the greatest defenders cannot do much. Again, Hiori's technique shines, and this flick, oh my goodness. Barou being the final wall is so funny as the guy clearly cannot defend. How about letting the defenders do their job, right? At the start of the game, Noah gave Kaiser 2 warnings. First, do not be focused on Isagi. Number 2, he should not make any irrational plays. The first warning was more so that Kaiser will remain in the game and do his best, focusing on what he can do. Immerse himself in a challenge, especially both guys had a goal scoring bet. You will believe Kaiser will immerse himself in that and do his best, right? Given all his skills. The second warning was so that Kaiser couldn't and wouldn't interfere with Isagi's plays. But we realized as the game went on that Isagi, like a virus, infected Kaiser's mind, so much so that the German Emperor, when not serviced by Ness, could only resort to being a hyena, lurking around Isagi. Kaiser got defeated as a striker in this game, there's no doubt, yeah? But it's not about the fact that he lacks the skills. It's more so because he lost the mental battle. At no point did Isagi got lost in the sauce. Isagi remained true to himself and focused on what he could do. Isagi eliminated every noise, and my guy was functioning with peak rationality, backed up by a fiery ego. What about Kaiser? I prefer not to speak. It must be clear right now, Isagi is the new king of the team, and I want Noah to make it official already.